Hi guys, so in today's video we're going to be discussing the differences between Amazon KDP and Audible ACX and potentially which one is best for you to get started with. We're at the end of 2023 now, so hopefully it will give you a good idea of the differences, the similarities, the pros, the cons. So yeah, without further ado, let's get on into Amazon KDP versus Audible ACX.
All right, so yeah, Amazon KDP is just Amazon's native platform for allowing people to self-publish onto Amazon. So KDP stands for Kindle Direct Publishing, if you didn't already know that. But basically, you can upload your digital files for your manuscripts, and then they can turn it into an ebook, a paperback, and a hardback book for you. And they print and ship everything for you, which is great. So it's not like your typical publisher where you have to, fork up a bunch of money up front, and then they print all the books out for you and put them in shops or whatever. You basically just have access to Amazon's massive customer base, which just makes things easier, obviously, because you have all that in one place. You don't have to go to multiple places to try to get sales, basically.
Because the market's there already, isn't it?
Yeah, it's massive. Just take advantage of it, really.
I think I read the other day that Amazon has or controls 60% or maybe 70% of the overall paperback book market. So it's massive, and it's continuing to grow as well. So if you're going to self-publish, Amazon's probably the place you want to do that.
Yeah, it's a really good place to start.
Then what is Audible? So Audible, if you don't already know, is a company which is owned by Amazon, and it allows you to basically publish your own audiobooks. So it stands for Audiobook Creation Exchange, and it's by far the largest audiobook platform in the world. I think it has, I think the last time I checked it was 65% of the overall market share is with Audible. So again, like Amazon KDP, Audible is the place to do, or is the place to be, to actually publish your own audiobooks. And ACX is Audible's equivalent to KDP for Amazon. So it's the platform, it's kind of the back end platform, which allows you to then hire a narrator and then convert your book into an audiobook to be sold on Audible. So what are the pros and cons of KDP then?
Yeah, so we've just kind of listed out some of the things that we personally think are pros and cons of KDP. So as we already mentioned, with KDP, you have a massive market with Amazon. So as it says here, $28 billion book market basically every single year.
Which is a lot bigger than I think, I would have thought that the paperback book market is for Amazon. 28 billion.
Yeah,
is absolutely massive, isn't it?
Yeah, I think a lot more people still enjoy reading physical paperback copies than people think. Obviously a lot more people are transitioning to ebooks and audiobooks, but there's definitely, I'm sure, a fair share of people who love getting a physical copy. I think we're both like that. So
we are definitely that.
It makes sense, honestly. And it's a straightforward process to get your book out for sale. So they make it very simple to actually upload your book and get it out for sale. It's honestly not really complicated, especially after you've done it once. It's the same process every time you want to obviously put a new book out. High potential returns for just one good selling book. So as long as you're doing all the steps right, you honestly can earn a couple $1,000s per month from a single book, and that honestly can go even up to $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. It obviously depends on the niche, how good your book is, but the potential is definitely there for just a single book.
We've never personally got a book to $10,000 a month, but we do know some people who have earned $10,000 every single month just from one paperback book on Amazon. So it's a massive opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. So also, once the book is actually out, there's really low maintenance. So once your book is established, you've gotten your reviews and everything on it. All you really have to do is pay attention to your ad spend and your ad campaigns to make sure they're optimized, and just kind of keep an eye out on them every once a week or couple weeks or however long you feel like you need to for your personal ads to make sure that they're ticking over properly.
Yeah, we personally look at the ads about maybe once or maybe twice a week, as Angelina said, just to keep on top of them and make sure the keywords are kind of performing as they should do, basically. So you don't even need to do much more than that when they're out and when they're established, and that's the beauty of Amazon.
Yeah, and also you can start with a really low budget. So it kind of depends, obviously, on whether you're doing low content or high content, because the budgets can be quite different for those. But relative to any other online business, honestly, you can start with a really low budget. You can get a book out for, if you're hiring a ghostwriter, even I would say under $1,200. If you're, obviously, you have to find the right places, find the right prices, and make sure everything's high quality, but you definitely can do it. And if you are using AI, you can do it for even cheaper, to be honest. And with low content books, just because of the nature of them, they're super low budget anyways. So very good.
Yeah, I've just released a video, if you haven't already seen it, on how to use ChatGPT, so AI, to actually produce full-length manuscripts. So if you haven't checked that out already, go and check that out.
Yeah, definitely. And then just some cons. So poor customer support. What we mean by customer support is actually for us as a seller. So poor seller
Yeah.
support maybe.
Yeah.
They have, honestly, Amazon has like really great like actual customer support. Like if you want to return something or you want a refund, they literally are just so good to you. But as a seller, they're a lot harder to get a hold of. And anytime you have issues, it depends on what issue you're sort of trying to deal with. But in general, they can be a bit hard to get a hold of. And then there is saturation in some areas. So we still firmly believe that KDP has relatively low competition compared to other business models. And so what we actually mean by this, I guess to clarify, is that it's mainly going to be like the lower content niches. So obviously because of the nature of like journals and notebooks and how easy they are to put together, like you can literally do it for free, do it within a day. There's just so many people doing it. So competition's obviously just going to be a lot higher because of that. Whereas with high content books, obviously there's a lot more effort that goes into putting them together. So it kind of weeds out all the people who just don't want to do anything basically. So yeah, so there is saturation in the lower content areas and not as much, I wouldn't say, in the higher content areas.
It's kind of why we advise people when they're first starting out is not to do low content, because unfortunately sometimes when people do that, they put like 10 books out, let's say, they don't make many sales and they can then just think KDP doesn't work, it's dead, whatever. If you start with high content books and you really do your research properly, there is a lot of money to be made, and then you're pretty more certain to make money in high content rather than low content.
Yeah, I would agree. So because there's more competition on KDP compared to ACX, which we'll get to, there's obviously a lot more books on Amazon that will be pre-existing that have a lot of reviews that maybe are like authority figures or just books that have been out and established. So when you're putting a new book out, it can in some niches be a little bit harder to catch those books. Obviously not impossible, but just can be somewhat more challenging to get those reviews on KDP. And then they do have a longer payout period. So with Amazon, it's super annoying. They don't pay you out until 2 months after the sale cycle. So for the month of August, you're not going to get paid out until the end of October, basically. So
God knows why they can't pay you out sooner.
Yeah, it's not
but
like they
hey
can't
ho,
afford
that's
it.
Amazon.
But yeah, so it is kind of annoying because then actually leading into the next point, there are advertising costs with KDP. So you're having to pay for the advertising costs up front, but then you're not getting paid out for those sales that you're making until 2 months later. So it can be kind of annoying because at least when you're initially starting out, there can be a bit of a lag in terms of like, getting into the profit area of your books. But all in all, obviously, everything has its pros and cons, and KDP is still a great business model.
So next up we have the ACX or Audible pros and cons. So first of all, there's very low competition on Audible, so it's very easy to rank your book. And this is probably the main reason why we're paying so much attention personally in our own business to Audible, is because of the lack of competition, because it is a slightly newer platform, although it's been around a while now, but lots of people kind of know about Amazon KDP, or more people know about Amazon KDP, but even the majority of self-publishers who are publishing on Amazon, they're not really aware that you can then convert your book into an audiobook, and therefore the competition is much lower. And the biggest way to kind of show this point is on Audible's search results compared to Amazon search results. So on Amazon you can have a keyword which has, let's say, 40,000 or 50,000 search results for one particular keyword, and then on Audible you might only have 500 or 600 or 700 search results, which just shows you that the majority of self-publishers, they're not then converting their book into an audiobook. Lower competition means it's easier to rank, which means it's easier to make sales. I think it's like 85% of sales are made on the first page on Amazon and on Audible, and therefore if you can get your book ranking on the first page on Audible, then it's going to be a lot easier to sell and make those sales. So secondly, there's large demand incoming. So we recently looked at some research, we'll put it up on the screen now actually, from Grand View Research, and the expected increase in audiobook demand is absolutely huge. It's actually even outpacing Amazon's growth. So I think it's going to increase by 26% year on year until 2030. So I think the current market is 1.7 billion. Oh, I actually got it on the cons over here, but it's expected to increase to 35 billion by 2030. So massive growth incoming. So that's why our personal plan at the moment. So essentially what we're going to be doing, and we do recommend to do this as well, is to try and get out as many high quality audiobooks as you can in the next couple of years. So when the real boom time comes in a couple of years, when all that demand and then everyone comes to Audible to listen to audiobooks, your books are already there, they're out and they're established.
Yeah, for sure.
Thirdly, it's a simple process to get your book converted into an audiobook. So we already discussed about it's a simple process to get your book created on Amazon, and then to get that book then converted into an audiobook is an extremely easy process. And this is kind of thanks to ACX really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you basically just need to hire a narrator. So you need to hire a narrator on ACX, and there's literally hundreds of narrators, and they'll basically narrate your book for you. They'll convert it into an audiobook, and that's kind of it.
Sorry, I just really quickly want to add on one point to his last point before I forget. He said our plan and what we're recommending for people to do is just get out loads of audiobooks. He did say to put out high quality audiobooks. I just wanted to put emphasis on the fact that he said high quality, because we don't want people to think that we're just going out and telling you to like go and put loads of shitty audiobooks on Amazon just to get a bunch of money out of it, because that's not what we're about. Everything has to be super high quality, and it's all about the customer/reader experience. So yeah.
That is a very good point. So point number 4, it's an additional stream of income from your product which is already being created. So you've already created your book, and you only then need to get someone else to narrate it before it turns into a whole new stream of income. So it's kind of a no-brainer, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Also, the 50 US and 50 UK codes, which means it's a very easy way to get reviews. So for those of you who don't know, when you publish an audiobook to Audible, they give you free promo codes. So you can use these promo codes and give them out to whoever you want to. And in exchange, they can listen to your book, and then they can give you a review on that book. It's a very, very simple way to get reviews. On Amazon, that's not the case. You just have to obviously grind reviews yourself, or find other sources to get them. With Audible, you have this kind of cheat code in order to get reviews.
It makes it super easy.
It does, yeah. There's no ad spend as well. So a big one for Audible. Obviously with Amazon, it's just part and parcel of your business. But with Audible, there's no advertising platform. We're not too sure why, to be honest with you. Maybe because it's a newer platform, but we're not aware of an advertising platform present or coming. So at the moment, it's kind of a good thing, I would say.
Yeah, it definitely kind of makes it an even playing field, just because obviously with ads, you're having to then spend that money to try to get your books out in front of people. But because there are no ads on ACX and they do give you the promo codes, you really just need to take advantage of those. And honestly, if you're looking into the right niches, that's all you actually really need to do to get your book ranking on the first page. So it definitely, it makes it a lot easier to get ranking.
Yeah, it comes down to obviously good research, but then also good listing as well. So you can outcompete your competitors if you have a better cover, a better listing, and better keyword research. So it kind of gives you that advantage if you're a beginner coming into it. And also the con of KDP was 2-month payout. So a definite pro of ACX is the 1-month payout. So if you earn your earnings in October, you'll get paid out at the end of November. So we much prefer that. And then the ACX cons. So cost on a narrator. So this is, I wouldn't say it's a big one, but it is obviously a cost. So for us, we never pay more than $100 per finished hour. So if your book is 3 hours long, which hours usually are, then it's going to cost you $300 to get that book narrated. For us, I mean, it's not really that big of a cost because it's bringing you a whole brand new stream of income. So the cost to create a book, let's say, is $500, but it's only then going to cost you another $300, or that's your maximum really, to get this whole brand new stream of income coming in.
Yeah, and then also because you don't have to spend money on ads, that is like that's really your only cost when you're getting an audiobook produced. So once you have paid for the narrator and then obviously recouped the cost of the narrator, then everything you do earn after that is actually pure profit, because you're not having to then spend money every single month on any ads.
Yeah, exactly. There's lower demand than KDP, so this is something which is, I guess, not a massive one because the competition's lower, but it is still lower. So for KDP, as we just discussed, it's 28 billion, sorry. So it's 28 billion overall market, but with Audible, it's 1.7 billion. So there's a lot less market there. It also takes longer for an audiobook to get approved. So with KDP, it's around about 48 to 72 hours, something like that. With your audiobook, it's probably going to be about 10 business days actually. So it actually might take 2 weeks after you approve your audiobook, after you've approved your narration of the audiobook, for it actually to get approved on Audible. Not massive,
it's just
deal.
and the only reason for that is just because they're having to obviously like listen to the whole audiobook and make sure there are no like audio quality issues. So that's just why it takes so long, but not too big of a deal.
Not too big a deal, yeah. And then just finally having to deal with a third party, obviously the narrator. So this is not a massive deal because the vast majority of narrators that we've dealt with are very, very good, efficient and professional. But we have had one narrator in the past who did our audiobook, and then we approved it, but then we actually noticed a couple of months later that there was a very slight error with part of his narration. So we went back to him to try and get it fixed, but then he was nowhere to be found. He completely ghosted us. And we never heard from him again, so we actually couldn't then update that audiobook, which is very frustrating. As I said, that's only happened once, but still a little bit annoying.
Let that be a lesson to you that if you are doing audiobooks, just make sure that you're double checking everything before you actually approve it. That way you don't have to go back and fix those mistakes months later, because we definitely messed up there. But yeah, it also was a bit annoying that the narrator just completely blanked us. It was a bit weird, but
But hey,
yeah. But anyways, yeah, that's part of the cons is that sometimes it can be a little bit annoying to have to not worry about, but just have to rely on other people instead of obviously doing it all yourself. So another thing that a lot of people don't necessarily know is that actually with KDP and ACX, they're kind of intertwined in the sense that in order to produce an audiobook, you first have to actually publish it on Amazon as an ebook or a paperback. And the reason for this is just because I guess Amazon is the parent company. So you can do Amazon KDP without doing Audible ACX, but you can't do ACX without first at least publishing it to Amazon. So some people do choose to just do ACX in the sense that you can publish the book on Amazon and just kind of leave it there as a manuscript. You don't have to like worry about getting reviews or anything on it, but then you still have to publish it to be able to claim it on ACX, if that makes sense. So yeah, it just has to be published first on KDP and then you can go on to ACX.
So just finally then, we got some different niches which serve better on KDP, the book side of things, compared to Audible with the audiobooks. So on KDP, what books do work well, which then don't work well, or they're not transferable to Audible, are low content books. So these are books, for example, your journals, your planners, your notebooks or logbooks, anything like that with little or no content in them. They obviously won't transfer well to Audible books. Like colouring books, activity books, workbooks, and also any visual guides, anything with pictures in them.
So with KDP, obviously all these types of books wouldn't necessarily work well on ACX, just because of the nature of the book. So there is kind of a larger selection of possible book niches and book types that you can publish with on KDP. And also to add, obviously on the KDP side, we haven't necessarily added like high content books or anything like that because we were just trying to list out the ones that wouldn't necessarily work on ACX.
So yeah, then with the ACX books, obviously all of these books, they are very transferable to KDP because every single book which is on Audible, obviously started as a paperback. So what books work particularly well on Audible are storybooks. These are fiction books. We are non-fiction publishers, so we have no experience with storybooks at all or fiction books, but they do work well and they do sell well on Audible. Also, any informational books or long-form high-content books, and this is a big reason why we stick to high-content books, is because they work well on both KDP and they work well on Audible as well. And then just a few niches that work really well on Audible. So business and money, we have a lot of books in this particular niche. Any self-help books or religion and spirituality. Those three niches, they work particularly well on Audible. So as we said at the bottom here, there is a lesser selection of books because not all physical books make sense as an audiobook, as we just said.
But actually books like affirmations books, like those types of books, which actually technically are like lower content, actually do work really well for ACX because people like listening to those types of things. They like listening to them and like meditation type books, that type of thing as well. So that's another book that works really well on ACX.
They probably work a lot better on Audible than they do on KDP.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, so hopefully all that makes sense. We just kind of were hoping to give everyone a breakdown of the differences between the two, why they're kind of linked together, and the different type of books that you would obviously publish on both. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to post them in the comments, and we'll see you in the next video.
See ya.